have found the Genesis frequency. This is Dr. Stephen J. Kazmina welcoming you in to another episode of a show that focuses on your whole life prosperity and success. Whole life prosperity and success by cooperating with the universal laws that are available to each and every one of us. This is Quantum Leap Goal Achievement, radical personal transformation, whole life prosperity and success. Now, stay tuned for another exciting episode that'll move the needle in your life from where you are now to where you want to be. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be, wherever you are in the world. When you hit that play button, so glad you did. This is Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kazmina coming at you. Oh my goodness, with another episode of the Genesis Frequency podcast, already into springtime of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, anyway. And, we've been talking about that newness, really, that springtime brings. We've been talking about pulling weeds and planting flowers, so to speak. This show is all about personal and professional development, leadership development, radical personal and professional transformation, and making quantum leaps when it comes to your own goal achievement, to experiencing the dreams, the wishes, the hopes, the desires, the aspirations of your heart. That's something more that would satisfy any longing and discontent that perhaps you are feeling now or have felt for a long, long time or felt in the past. And maybe in many cases, you, like many others, have let it go and say, now that just won't happen for me. Well, I invite you to believe in you, believe in your dream. And if you can't do that, you can borrow my belief in you because I know that you can make it happen in your life, in your career, in your small business, in your corporate framework if you are involved in teams and corporate teams and any level and degree of your path in this world because your potential is infinite. It is indeed infinite. And so we've been talking about this renewal. This is a great time of year to do this work. Over the last few episodes, we looked at a deep look, really, a deep dive into identifying what we need to let go in our lives. So I really encourage you to listen to those episodes. That's really about, what I do to prepare for the next episode, although these aren't necessarily part ones and twos and threes. Sometimes they turn into that, but each one builds off the prior one. So I would encourage you to go back to the last few. If you're brand new to the Genesis Frequency podcast, I would invite you to, well, listen to all of them, but listen from the beginning of the year because we're talking about this whole process of manifesting, bringing forth from the invisible world of non-form into the visible world of form the life you would love to live. Whether it's something that you have a longing and desire for in your personal life or in your professional life, whatever that may be, you get to decide. This isn't a show about telling you what it should be. This is a show about helping you turn within to live life from the inside out and find that within you, utilizing some of the tools I suggest, of course, finding that within you that will move you from where you are to where you want to be. And we find all these things, and we find the limiting beliefs is what we're really finding. And we find within us when we do this self-examination, the self-observation on a day-to-day basis, we find those limiting beliefs and we start to question them. We start to identify habitual behavior. Habitual behavior is our paradigms, our programming. And that's what we looked at. We looked at letting go of all our negative thoughts, letting go of our negative habits. And by negative, what I mean is looking at what is non-supportive of the life we would love to live. Hopefully, you listened intently and did the work at the beginning of this year, identifying what it is you really, really want, stepping way outside the box. Forget the box, coming from that place where there is no box and re-engaging your imagination like perhaps you had when you were a child and then put up on the shelf. Because that's what most of us do in our later years. We put that imagination away. Hopefully, you did that. You took that imagination down and said, you know what? I really want to think about what I want to be, do, and have. And then hopefully, listening to this podcast, you realized it's all about moving to being that. Not something that you have to do. So many people get the order wrong, doing and having. You have to be what it is. And that's what the last few episodes have been about. What am I being? Am I being someone that's really engaged with blame and busyness and chaos and complaining and criticism and drama and fear and insecurity and negative thinking and outdated beliefs that are just we've gotten to the point we don't even know what they're based on. So we identify these things. We identify these weeds. We look within and we have identified what has got to go. So we've been pulling these weeds. And then the last episode, well, actually, the last two episodes been talking about planting those flowers. When we pull those weeds in consciousness, we have to move something else in place, or they're going to move back in. They're going to remain dominant. This, habitual behavior dies hard. We have to replace it with something else. We have to form new supporting habits of thought to replace them. And and I can't say this enough, and I know I say it on many, many, many episodes, is that just doing this work of identifying, the self-observation of our habitual behavior, just because we've identified it and yeah, say, yeah, I did an inventory and I'm doing this all the time. I'm always blaming, I'm always complaining, I'm always wrapping myself in stress and struggle and worry and doubt and fear. Just because you identified it doesn't mean, okay, identified it's going to go away. So we replace it. And I talked about the tools of gratitude, moving to a neutral place of gratitude, being thankful for what you already have in your life, being thankful for what you have in your life, being thankful for what has moved into your life in the past, and practicing future gratitude for that which you have created using the canvas of your mind and the power of your imagination. So we have designed the ideal, right? So it really already exists because everything first comes from the invisible non-form. Every idea, everything that you see in the manifest world, the table, the chair, the automobile, everything you see was first a thought, was an idea that was developed in the world of non-form. This is the process of creation. Thoughts plus feelings plus actions equals results. And it starts with our ideas. And that's why you're encouraged to use your imagination, abandoning the how, any thoughts of the how, and deciding what it is that would satisfy that longing and discontent. So again, just identifying the behavior that is not supportive does not mean it's going to go away or that it's going to go away easily. We have to move in new programming, new conditioning, build out new habitual behavior that is supportive. And this is the pulling weeds, the planting flowers. I shared the power of gratitude with you. Then we moved into another tool. Forgiveness is another tool that we can use because forgiveness often we forget to do the forgiveness work with ourselves, right? We constantly beat ourselves up over mistakes or that thing that we have identified as a mistake, which was really just a step in the ongoing process of success. So we looked at forgiveness, And then we moved into building out affirmative, supportive statements for the ideal. That's where it brings us to right here and now. Affirmative, ideal statements. We looked at, hey, what's the objective? What have we designed? What is the dream that we designed on the canvas of our mind using the power of our imagination? And then we built out affirmations around Thanksgiving, affirming that state. Because remember, it's thoughts, feelings, actions equals results. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to get into the habit of stating our affirmations, reading our affirmations by rote with no feeling, no emotion. We have to really be emotionally engaged because feeling is indeed the secret. We have to be emotionally charged with, yes, the possibility, at least the possibility of this dream being made manifest. We don't have to know the how. When we start giving thanks for the reality of it, when we condition our consciousness that this is the intention, this is what we are committed to making manifest in our world of form, everything will shift. The how is going to move in. So just abandon the how and look at what it is that you really want to experience and build it out, write it down. That's what we talked about the last episode. Again, the repetition of writing it down over and over again. I am so happy and grateful now that I am experiencing my target weight of fill in the blanks, whatever it is. I'm so happy and grateful. I am now in a loving relationship with the, you know, man, woman of my dreams, and just build these out. What is it professionally? What is it for your small business? What are the goals? You get to pick them. Just look at every area of your lives. Look at your life and go back to the beginning of this year and look at some of these episodes where I gave you some tools to help identify what it is you really, really want with no limitations. And that's the big thing. No limitations, not limiting yourself by thinking, well, I really want this, but I have no idea how that could possibly happen. I work with people all the time, all over the world, that are experiencing and living the dream where in the beginning they had no idea how it could possibly take place for them. They said there's no way, but I encourage them to keep following what they're passionate about. What's your dream? Well, if I could this, if I had enough money, if I was smart enough, if I had the skill set, you can get all that stuff. What is it you want? So we're planting these flowers through the process of affirmative thought, affirmative statement, giving thanks in advance, one of the most powerful tools that we can use. We have at our disposal. People don't realize this. Giving thanks in advance for what we want to create and move into our lives is one of the most powerful things we can do. Why? Because we're making an impression on our subconscious mind that has no power to reject what it is given. And when it's wrapped with feeling and emotion, boy, that moves to the top of the list. And the subconscious mind is within us, which is responsible for our vibration, ultimately our actions. And when we take actions, when we move into action, that is supportive of the life we would love to live because we've been programming the subconscious mind is really what we've been doing. We see a reaction from the energy that we're immersed in, from the world around us, events, situations, circumstances, people move in that are supportive. We become this magnet of mind. This mind takes on a magnetic quality, but it's really our subconscious mind shifting our vibration and frequency. So design, look at your goal, look at your ideal. And again, this is for you as an individual, a small business owner in your corporate environment. If you're confused a little bit in the corporate environment, well, look at the team you're on. What's the objective of the team? What are you working on? What's the project? If you're looking at the whole, what are the core values? What is the vision? Where are you now? Where do you want to be? Identify this. Work as a team, as a group together. Come together. Share ideas. And the same thing, whether it's for a corporation or individual, build the affirmations out around all of that. I recently went through, and perhaps you have as well, if you're in this world of personal and professional development, went through one of the personality workshops, personality and behavior. So I'm all about human behavior and human potential development. And we looked at personalities and we looked at behaviors and we looked at, there's so many different ways that all these characteristics can be identified. And this particular one was about the persuader and the controller and the analyzer and the stabilizer and different qualities that each one of us has, and so many of these overlap. But I think I don't know that enough emphasis in some of these things, not all of them, but in some of these things is placed on the personality, because some of these programs just say, hey, we can't really change our personality. But you know, I I don't really I don't really buy into that. Personality, if you do a simple search on personality, that refers to the enduring characteristics and behavior that compromise a person's unique adjustment to life, including major traits, interests, drives, values, self-concept, abilities, and emotional patterns. And we can indeed influence that within us. We can make a choice and a decision. To say that we can't change our values and our self-concepts and our interest would be would be really, in my book, absurd, because of course we can, and they do change from time to time. We're maybe interested in something else at different stages in our lives that perhaps we weren't interested in 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Some of those do remain the same. But if we throw some of the behaviors, characteristics, enduring characteristics and behaviors in there, well, what happens when we look at the behavior? Well, in the behavior is the paradigms, is the programming. And some of that stuff we just got through genetics, we got through DNA, we got through the conditioning from when we were younger. Then we moved on, and we could reason and we could sort and we could filter. So not everything was making it through the subconscious mind, but a lot of stuff was. We got bombarded with the news and the TV and input from friends and race consciousness. I mean, input from the race, the human race is what I'm talking about. Input from just what is happening and taking place, and that all moved in and formed our beliefs, our self-concepts, perhaps our emotional patterns, depending on how engaged in a positive way or negative way we participated in internally with events in our world. So all these things we can affect. We can affect through our thoughts. And so many trainings that are out there look at results. They're working backwards. They're not working with the thought first. And that's so important to do that, because that's where we affect change. We don't look at the results to affect the change. We don't look at the puddle of water on the floor and just say, hey, my feet are getting wet, and I got to get a hair dryer and dry that puddle up and my feet won't. We got to go back to the thought. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but the thing is we can choose thoughts. We can choose different thoughts. And that's what this episode's been a lot. I've been all over the place, but really let's get back to designing those affirmative statements that are supportive, and then looking at the intangible aspects of character. Besides just building out gratitude statements that are affirmative and supportive of the life you would love to live. I'm so happy and grateful I am at my ideal weight of. Let's look at some of the intangible aspects of character that we want to move in as well. And we're almost out of time, so I'll continue with this in the next episode. But let's look at making affirmative statements around our beliefs and just having faith in ourselves or faith in our higher power, faith in what we do believe in. If you identified your beliefs, let's have some faith in that. And let's say, let's design some statements around the intangible stuff. So we've talked enough about the intangible, or about the tangible, I should say, about what you want to experience, about what you want to move in. Let's take a look at now what you need to be. And maybe you have to change a little bit. Maybe you have to do some tweaking and fine tuning and adjust the frequency of around what you're being. If you've taken some of these things we've identified as needing to let go, the blamer, the complainer, and you really identified with that, well, we have to be someone else. We can no longer be the blamer. We can no longer be the complainer. We can no longer be the worrier. We can no longer be the stressed out person. So listen to the last couple episodes. This is valuable stuff here. So we're going to move some of those intangible things in, as well as using the affirmative statements for the life we would love to live. You got that? So I am so happy and grateful, and then insert your goal. I'm so happy and grateful I am now financially successful, and insert your amounts or whatever it is. You got that. Intangible stuff. I'm so happy and grateful. I wrap myself in faith and I move forward with faith and confidence in who I am being. Things like that. And then we'll continue on this process. What are some of those other intangible traits? Share them with me. Reach out, put them in the comment section. We'll talk about these moving forward. I'm so happy and grateful I have found the inner strength to participate on a consistent daily basis in revenue generating activity. Whatever it is, that's a good one for a small business owner, and we can generate these. See, this is the planting flowers. We have pulled the weeds, we're planting the flowers. Look at all these intangible aspects of character that you would like to be more of. And let's move those in through the design of affirmative statements. And I'm going to leave a note here for myself to pick up on this. I love this topic. This has helped me so much in my life to truly make a transformation, and it can for you as well. Simple affirmative statements and conditioning over and over and over again, constant spaced repetition. That's how we change our habitual behavior. That's how we change our habitual thoughts. We'll talk more about that. If you want to talk more about it right away, reach out to me. SuccessOcean.com, thegenesisfrequency.com, or my calendar, successappointment.com. It shows up in your time zone. Reach out, find a time that's convenient for you. Pop your name and your details in there, successappointment.com, and we will take a dive into what you want to create in your life and look at perhaps what's keeping you stuck. It's a free call, no charge for the call for my listeners. No reason not to reach out. And this is for you as an individual, as a small business owner, or someone on a corporate team and looking to create more, looking to make an adjustment and a renewal and get on track and move in a positive direction. I'd love to have a conversation with you with anything, anything that has to do with personal and professional development. Don't forget, I do keynote presentations, talks, workshops, and this is for individuals, again, individuals and businesses. So reach on out. That's all the time we have for today. You've been listening to the Genesis Frequency, and this is Dr. Cost. And in fact, Dr. Stephen J. Kosmina wishing you an infinitely spectacular day. God bless you.